All right, so the first one says, picture that RV and ST are parallel. So let's go ahead and make them parallel. RV, ST are now my parallel lines. Then it says angle 11 is what? So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight angle 11 because they're talking about angle 11. And I'm going to extend my line because we know that's actually a straight line there. And then I'm looking at, well, hey, this top blue line is my transversal, and these two lines are parallel. So based upon that fact, what angle is congruent to angle 11? Based upon our transversal and our two parallel lines. Remember, we're looking for either alternate interior, same side interior, or corresponding. Isabel?
5.
Angle 5. The transversal is, let me highlight, the transversal is this guy.
Okay.
Is 5 on the transversal at all? Is 5 on our transversal? No, so it's probably not going to be 5. It's probably not going to be 5 because it needs to be something that's on the actual transversal. All right. Aryan? It would be angle 8. It would be angle 8. The same reason, though, corresponding angles. But can you see how the 11 and 8 are on the same transversal? Isabel? All right. Yeah.
Could 3 also work?
3 would not work.
Oh, why?
Because 3 is not alternate interior. This is my parallel line. This is my parallel line. This is my transversal. The only numbers that are going to work are the ones that are on this transversal.
Okay, so it can't be alternate interior.
It can't be alternate interior because alternate interior only works on your transversal. It doesn't work across parallel lines. It would be alternate interior if we knew that RS was parallel to WT. Do you see that? Because if these two were parallel, then VR would be my thing too. These can be tough, but I can guarantee you'll see stuff like this on the test. So color it in, take your time, label what's your transversal. All right, our next one says, if angle 3 plus angle RVT equals 180, what should be going through your head if you're looking at two angles equaling 180? And what I mean by that, are you thinking alternate interior, are you thinking same side, or are you thinking corresponding? All right.
Same side.
You should automatically think same side. So in fact, because same side is the only one that says they're supplementary, you could probably already circle same side interior even if you don't know what's happening over here. You can go, oh, supplementary, same side interior. But let's get all the points. So it says angle 3. Angle 3 is this dude. And then it also says RVT. RVT is that dude. And just be clear, we want this entire angle and this entire angle. So we know we're using same side interior because they equal 180. So if this angle plus this angle equals 180, what are my two parallel, what segments? So it's probably good to actually put it in segment form. So we're going to say VT is parallel to RS. If you put lines above it, I'd be okay. If you put rays above it, I'm okay. I only care that you have the letters right. And in fact, do you think I'd accept WV? Line WV? Yeah. Would I accept line TW? Yeah. All those. I'd accept all those. Just make sure they're two letters from this line. Questions on any one of those two problems? I guarantee you'll see something like that on the test. Guarantee it. You'll have a picture that looks similar to this, where you can draw stuff. I have colored pencils. You can erase colored pencils, so you can color it in, erase it. All right, I'm going to hold off on questions. We're going to kind of plow through this lesson as fast as we can so we can have time to answer questions. I do want to go over a factoring problem. So today we're going to talk about what is a triangle. What is a triangle? Well, a triangle is just three segments joining three non-collinear points. And they have to be non-collinear because if they're all collinear, it's just a straight line. But as long as one's off that line, then you go boop, boop, back there. Let us draw a picture of a triangle. Let us draw a picture of a triangle. I think we've all seen triangles. If this blows your mind, I'm sorry. But that's going to be my triangle ABC. And if you were to name this, you would just call it triangle ABC, and you just use the symbol triangle. And you could call this triangle BCA. You could call this triangle ACB. Any three letters in any order, name a triangle. Just put that triangle symbol out front. Now, a triangle is consisted of two important things. The first thing is your vertex. So we have three vertices. So that's a vertex. That's a vertex. And A is the vertex. So if I ask you to list your vertices, vertices is plural of vertex. Vertices are going to be points. So the vertices of this triangle are point A, B, and C. All right, so we have a vertice, or we have a vertex. And then what connects our vertexes to each other are going to be your sides. So you have three sides. That's a side. That's a side. That's a side. For some of you need to really pay attention to what I'm about to write now. Several of you on the test, when you got to the part where you had to list the sides of a angle, just did like a point, and you needed to have a ray, and a lot of you lost a point because you labeled it wrong. You knew what the side was, but you labeled it wrong. When I list sides of a triangle, if I write sides correctly, you are going to use segments. So the three sides would be something like segment AB, segment maybe BC, and segment CA. So make sure if I ask for a side, you give me a segment. If I ask for a vertex, you give me a point. Questions on that? Pretty clear so far? All right, we have two different methods to classify triangles. We can classify it by specific information about its sides, and we can classify it by specific information about its angles. Let's do sides first. Our first thing is no sides are congruent. So that means there's nothing that's congruent on here. That is going to be called a scalene triangle. No sides congruent is a scalene triangle. Our next one is at least two sides are congruent. So it's always a good idea to mark your two congruent sides. Anyone know what it's called when it's two congruent? Yeah. It's isosceles. Make sure I write everything correctly. Yes. I do want to know something real quick. It says at least two sides are. So let's say I have three sides being congruent. Is this isosceles still? Yeah, this is still isosceles. But there's a better word for it. There's a more descriptive word when all three are the same. Yeah. Equilateral. I like by angles because you pretty much know what they're called. If you have three acute triangles, so every angle is nice and small, you call that acute triangle because it's so cute and small. Acute triangle. If you have one obtuse angle, in fact, a triangle can only have one obtuse triangle or angle. If you have one obtuse angle, so if you see something open up really wide, that is going to be an obtuse triangle. If you have one right angle, so we're actually going to put that angle and make sure it's right, that is going to be called a right triangle. Here's the weird one. All angles are congruent. So all angles would look like this. That's going to be called equiangular. But I do want to point something out. An equiangular triangle is also equilateral. So an equilateral triangle is always equiangular, and an equiangular triangle is always equilateral. So if I say 1, you know the other one automatically. Same number of sides, or same sides means they're the same angles all the way across the board. All right, in our example down here, it says identify each triangle by its sides and its angles. So what that means is we're going to pull one from the sides category, and we're going to pull one from the classification angle, and then we're going to name that triangle. So if we look at that first one, do you see how it says A and A? That means they're the same length. It's kind of like saying this is 6 and this is 6 and this is 3, something else. So A and A mean that they're going to have 2 of the same sides, which means it's isosceles. And it also has a right angle, so it's going to be an isosceles right triangle, because it asks for both. I need to pull one from the sides category, and I need to pull one from the angles category. All right, B. I think this is yours. You see how it says A, B, and C? That means all sides are going to be different sizes. So it's going to be scalene. And if you look, there's a really big angle. There's a big angle that I'm highlighting in red. That's obtuse. So that means it's a scalene, obtuse triangle. That's the only ones I know. I need help on the other ones. Who can help me with naming C? You have to pull one from the side, and you need to pull one from the angle. Sam?
How do you know that it's
Right, but look at how it's numbered. It's A, B, and C. So that means all 3 are different lengths. Yep. Just like over here it was A and A, means they're the same length. If there's 3 different letters, it means they're completely different lengths. Isabella? It's a scalene because all the sides are different size, right? And it's a right angle. So it's a scalene right triangle. And we know it's scalene because each of the letters are different. It's A, B, and C. It's kind of like saying it's 6, 5, and 3 or something. All right, who can help me with D, noting that it's B, B, and A? Sam, you want to get this one? It's isosceles because B and B are the same side, so it's going to be isosceles. I don't think it's right. Okay, all right. It is obtuse triangle. Who can help me with E? Help me with just equilateral. I'd be okay with just equilateral. I'd be okay if you just put that on a test. I'd be okay with just equilateral, but you could also use equiangular. Because once it's equilateral, you automatically know it's equiangular. I am 100% fine because equiangular is, it just flows off the tongue so nicely, which it doesn't. I'm okay if you just say equilateral and you just know it's equiangular. All right, F. We're going to do F, scalene right triangle. Perfect. Whew. Crushed it. That's naming triangles. All right. In the homework and stuff, I may ask you to draw it. I may ask you to draw a scalene right triangle. And you got to draw something like that. All right. Let's move on to stuff that we probably already know. Sum of angles. Does anyone know the sum of all the angles of a triangle? So if I add angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3, what does that equal? Cece?
180.
It equals 180. Yeah. So we could have something like angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 180. Do you see how it says theorem? We have a theorem sheet. I'm going to tell you right now, this is not one of the theorems on the sheet. I am okay if you write this on your theorem sheet. You have a whole backside. But hang on. I don't want you to waste a bunch of time writing it now. Write it later so we can go through the notes because we don't have a ton of time. Just so you know, you can write these theorems. Anytime I say theorem and it's not on your sheet, you have free game to write it on that blank side. So anytime theorem says, you can write that on your sheet. All right. Our next one, we're going to talk about exterior and remote. Oh, I wanted to put a little note right here. Little note. If you ever have an equilateral triangle, equilateral triangle angles are, well, they all have to be the same. They have to add up to 180. So each of their angles are always going to be 60 degrees. So as soon as I say equilateral or equiangular to you, you should immediately think, okay, they're all 60 degrees. I don't have to do any math. Equilateral means each angle is 60 degrees. That is something that pops up a lot because you kind of forget about it when you're in the depths of a question. But equilateral means each angle is 60 degrees. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is exterior and remote interior angles. Which ones are your remote interior depend on which exterior you're looking at. So 65 degrees is my exterior angle. So the remote interior angles are going to be those farthest away from your exterior angle, the one that is not a linear pair. So as a quick example, you don't need to write this, I just want to show you something. Let's say I had that line extended, and I said this was 155 degrees. If this was my exterior, these two would be my remote interior. It's the one farthest away from your exterior angle. So knowing which one is your remote interiors is dependent on which one is your exterior angle that you're looking at. So if this is my exterior angle, my remotes are the one farthest away. I do want to point something out here. If you add your remote interior angles, it'd be 40 plus 25, which equals 65, which is actually the sum of your exterior angle. That is not a coincidence. That's actually a theorem. Your exterior angle will always be the sum of your remote interior angles. So your exterior angle is always going to equal adding those two angles that are furthest away from your exterior angle. So we're going to do some of those problems right here that entail that. Our first one says A, it's our exterior angle is 2x minus 5. So that's my exterior. And these are my remote interior because they're the furthest away. And our exterior angle has to equal the sum of our remote interior angles. So that's just going to be 2x minus 5 equals x plus 70. Now we just collect all our x's on one side and all of our numbers on the other side. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides to get rid of the 5 from that side. Oh, no. What are you doing? All right, then I'm going to subtract x from both sides to move the x to that side. And you should come up with x equals 75. Our next one, our exterior angles here, so our remote interior are going to be the ones furthest away. So that's going to be our 3x and our 40. It says that your remote interior, when you add them together, has to equal 5x minus 10. So do the same thing. 5x minus 10 equals 3x plus 40. Let's go ahead and add 10 to both sides to move that over here. Then I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides to get rid of the 3x there. We are going to have 2x equals 50, or x equals 25. Those are remote interior and exterior angles. Once again, When you're looking at your exterior angle, that's the only time you can locate your remote interior because they're the two farthest away. All right, we're just going to do 2 more problems, then we'll go over homework questions, and then we'll be good. All right, these are word problems. I find them easier. Remember the one that we had before that was like, if an angle is half its supplement and its complement? These are, I think, a little bit easier. All right, it just takes a little bit of setting up. How many angles does a triangle have? 3. It's got 3 angles. So we're going to talk about 3 angles. What happens when I add all 3 of those angles up together? They equal 180. Those are your 2 big things. So let's read this. It says one angle of a triangle is twice as large as the smallest angle. The other angle is 6 times the measure of the smallest angle. Find all 3 measures. I find it easier to set it up like this. If you want to set it up otherwise, you can. I look at the fact that they talk specifically about a smallest angle. So I'm going to start with a smallest angle. And when I'm writing an equation, I don't want to write smallest angle all the time. I'm going to use S for smallest angle. You can use X, you can use B, you can use a smiley face, you can use a frowny face. I don't care. Just something that stands for your smallest angle. Now, they don't talk anything about a medium angle or a large angle, so we're just going to call the other ones maybe angle 2, because we have a smallest angle, which is our angle 1, and then we'll have a third angle, angle 3. All right, now let's go back to what it says. It says one angle of a triangle is twice as large as the smallest angle. I don't know about for you, but twice means multiply by 2, right? So if my smallest angle is S, then this one's going to be 2 times S. It's twice as large. So we're going to rewrite angle 2 as 2 times S. Then we go ahead and find that third when they talk about the third one. It says the other angle is 6 times the measure of the smallest angle. Once again, 6 times, that means 6 times the smallest angle. So that will be 6S. Now, you guys told me once I add all these up, they have to equal 180 degrees, correct? So we're just going to add those up as they are. Our smallest angle is S, plus that 2S, plus that 6S, has to equal 180 degrees. In other words, this is angle 1, plus angle 2, plus angle 3, have to equal 180 degrees. Now you just solve for S. S plus 2S plus 6X, not X, but S, I'm having a hard time saying that today, all right, is going to be 9S. And what's 180 divided by 9? Anyone just shout it out? 20. Now I am going to note that it did say that you're supposed to find the measure of all the angles. So all you have to do is take that 20 and plug it in for all of your S values over here. So my smallest angle is going to be just S, which is 20 degrees. My second one is going to be 2 times S, which is 2 times 20, which is 40 degrees. And 6S, so 6 times 20 is going to be 120 degrees. Not a bad idea to make sure those add up to 180. So we have 20 plus 40 is 60, plus 120 equals 180. It's looking good. All right, we're just going to do one more together. I'm going to leave you on the last one because I think I actually included that in your homework. I think I liked it, and I just put it in your homework. All right, so it says one angle of a triangle has a measure that is 3 times as large as the smallest angle. I think I actually have it clean there. All right. So once again, we're talking about a smallest angle. So let's go ahead and write that down. Smallest, and how about we just put angle there? I'm going to let S stand for my smallest angle. The measure of the third angle is 40 degrees more than that of the smallest angle. Find the measure of the largest angle. So we have 3 angles. We have the smallest angle, we have angle 2, and we have angle 3. Well, it says one angle of the triangle has a measure that is 3 times as large as the smallest angle. 3 times would mean it's 3s. Now let's go ahead and find the last one. The last one says the third angle is 40 degrees more than the smallest angle. 40 degrees more means just add 40 degrees. So we're going to have 40 degrees plus s. Now we just add all these together to make 180. So we're going to do s plus 3s plus 40 plus s equals 180 degrees. So we're going to have s plus 3s plus that 40 plus s equals 180 degrees. Collect all your s's on one side. I have one s plus 3 s's plus another s is going to be 5 s's on the left-hand side. I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides, which would give me 140. And s is going to equal, who can do 140 divided by 5 or already has it done? Yeah. It's going to be 28. I agree. Now I'm going to look up, it says find the measure of the largest angle. Well, you probably just want to find all 3 of them and then circle the one that's the biggest. All right, so we're going to take that s and plug it in here. Well, my smallest angle is going to be 28 degrees. That's probably not my biggest, especially because it's called the smallest. What's 3 times 28? Anyone have 3 times 28? Yeah,
84.
it is 84. And then finally we have 40 plus 28 is going to be 68 degrees. So you just circled the biggest one. That is the largest. Like I said, your next one is actually part of your homework. I will give you the answers to it, though, if you want them. You should come up with 30, 60, 90 when you do that one. Should be 30, 60, 90. All right. Like I said, I kind of pushed through that lesson because I wanted to, at the very least, I wanted to go over one question that's on the homework that's been asked in probably all the classes, and that is number 31. Number 31. Number 31 looks something like this. I'm sorry, not in the homework tonight, but the homework last night. 31, the homework last night. It looks something like this. And it wasn't the setup, it was the full execution that became the problem. So we were supposed to solve for x using that fact. Well, we should have noticed that it's same side interior. Same side interior must equal 180, so we should have done something like x squared plus 3x equals 180. I'm going to tell you right now, on the test, if I put something like this on there, that's worth most of your points. Most of your points are recognizing that that equals 180. You get the full amount of points by actually factoring, because this is kind of a step up. It was something that we should have done in algebra, and you'll start to see it when I do it. Okay, have fun. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get everything on the same side. So we'll have x squared plus 3x, not equals, but minus 180 equals 0. Now the whole goal is to get it to look like this, where I have a binomial times a binomial equals 0. That is factoring. That is factoring. Now there's multiple methods to factor. There's guess and check. There's, I think, one called like snowflake or star method. There's a Mustang method. There's a bunch of methods out there. I don't care which one you use, but I only teach one method, and that is factor by grouping. And I do it because there's a check halfway through, and I can see your entire thought process as you're going along. So to do the factor by grouping, you need to make 2 columns off to the side. It is your A times C column and your B column. I affectionately call them my air conditioning and my Beyonce column. You have an air conditioning and you have a Beyonce column. Now, those are just numbers that you pull from the equation that you have over here. And more specifically, your A value is going to be that number that's in front of x squared. Now, it looks like there's no number in front of x squared, but that's because we're just too lazy to write 1 when it happens. There's actually a 1 out there. Your B value is your one that goes in front of your x, And your C value is obviously that last number. So A times C in this case would be 1 times a negative 180, which would equal negative 180. So that column actually is negative 180. Your B is always going to be the easiest because you don't have to do any multiplications. That's just 3. All right, see how this is 8 times C? This is your multiplication column. You're looking for two numbers that multiply together to give you negative 180. But while you're doing that, you're also looking for, when you add them together, they equal 3. So what I'm actually looking for is two numbers that multiply together to give me 180, that the difference between them is 3. That's what you're looking for. And this can be just trial and error, taking out your calculator and just seeing what divides in it. If you have no idea, just start at the bottom. Do 180 divided by 2. So you'd have something like 2 and 90, and you would just check. Is the difference between 2 and 90 3? No. Then you divide by 3, then you divide by 4, 5, 6, 7, and eventually you'd get down to 12 and 15. Do you see how the difference between 12 and 15 is 3? All right, one of those needs to be negative. And in this case, the 12 needs to be negative because negative 12 times 15 equals negative 180. And negative 12 plus 15 equals a positive 3. So we use that to go negative 12 plus 15 equals 3. Those are the only two numbers that work for both those columns. They multiply to give you negative 180, and they add together to give you 3. Yes? Sure. Make sure you get this right on the test. All right. What you're going to do now is you're going to rewrite your original equation. And you're going to use those new numbers. See how it was 3x before? We're going to change it into negative 12x and a positive 15x. Because negative 12x plus 15x does equal 3, I'm just breaking it apart into two separate entities. Now I have two binomials. I have x squared minus 12x, and I also have a positive 15x minus 180. What you're going to do with each of these binomials is you're going to treat them equally. You're going to pull the biggest thing out of x squared and x that you can. All right, there's no number here, there's a 12 here, so the biggest thing you can pull out of both of them is just going to be x. And when you have x squared divided by x, you're just left with x. 12x divided by x is just negative 12. I just factored out an x. Now we're going to do the same thing here. What's the biggest thing I could pull out of 15x and 180? Aryan? 15, yeah. So we're going to pull out a 15. And to factor something out, you're just going to do 15 divided by 15 is just 1, or 1x. And then you have to do negative 180 divided by 15, which just equals a negative 12. Here's why I like factor by grouping. Let me get my highlighter out. Actually, we can just circle it. This x minus 12 is the exact same thing as that x minus 12 right there. I know I did everything right because those two things are. All right, now all you have to do is one more step. You smoosh together the x and the 15. So you have x plus 15 times x minus 12 equals 0. We have two possible x values. Either x equals a negative 15 or x equals 12. And since we're dealing with angles, our angles can't be negative, so we're going to get rid of that one because we can't have a negative 15 degrees. If that was too much all at once, please come see me. We can go through as many problems as you want to. Plus, there's tons of resources online that can help you with factoring. There's tons of other methods. Yeah?
So if we have another method that we want to use on a test.
Go ahead and use it. Yep. Make sure it's valid, though. All right. What other questions do we have from the homework? Yeah?
Go on to number 13.
Number 13? Sure. All right, number 13. So 13 should be none, right? Am I on the right one? Okay. So 13 says measure of angle 2 plus 3 equals measure of angle 4. So let's highlight 2 plus 3. So 2 plus 3 equals the measure of angle 4. All right, what type of angles are 2 plus 3 and 4 in relation to each other?
Same side interior.
Same side interior. What does same side interior need to add up to? 180. All this says is that they're equal. What if they're both 30? I know they look like they're 90, but they didn't say they're 90. They just said they're equal. So this could equal 30, which would mean that this could also equal 30 because they're both equal to each other. I don't think that'd be parallel because that would just add up to 60.
Okay.
All right.
And then what about like coming with number 14, but wouldn't be none?
Why it wouldn't be none?
Yeah.
Because there's actually a few answers, right? So let's go ahead and do that. All right, measure of angle 7 is that. Measure of angle 3 would be that one. This one gets a little complicated. And measure of angle 10. So we have 10 is equal to 7, and that's equal to 3. So let's focus on the 7 and the 10 real quick. Do you see this line and this line? And this is my transversal. Those are corresponding angles. If they're equal, then this line is parallel to that line. All right, now forget about those, and let's look at 10 and 3. If you look at this line is parallel to that line, hey, these are alternate interior angles are congruent. So that'd be this line is parallel to that line.
Oh, so the reason there are two angles are just because there are two answers?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Generally speaking, if you have 3 things being equal, they're, like on number 15, you actually have 2 pairs of parallel lines also.
Okay.
Other questions about the homework? Questions going once? Going twice? All right, there's just a couple of minutes. Start working on the